Everybody, this is BradBenner with Semantic Mastery, and today is February 6th, 2023, and we've got the folks over at the Ranking Store, Patrick Tuttle and his cohorts. They're going to be talking about the Backlink Factory today, which is something that one of our longtime mastermind members, Brian Caddo, is a ninja at. Gary, we can hear you.
Can we hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us now?
I can't hear y'all.
No, of course you can't. That's why I'm going to mute his ass, because otherwise he's going to screw up. All right. So anyways, hi guys. Once again, this is Brad.
Perfect.
We're still working the flies out of the ointment here, guys. But anyway, we got Brian Catt is one of our longtime mastermind members. He's taught on several of our live events. And he's really proficient with the Backlink Factory, which uses Google Sheets to create backlinks. And I haven't really used it, so I don't have any experience to talk about this, except that I trust Patrick and Brian, and I know that Brian is an avid user of it. So more recently, I've been working on building some local PBNs, guys, and developing a method for that, which I'm going to be teaching about at SEO at the Beach in 3 weeks. And then in the mastermind as well. So part of the reason why I wanted to bring these guys on today to talk about the Backlink Factory is because I know we can push geo-relevance with it. And I want to use that to kind of power up local PBN sites, which again is the method that I'll be teaching at SEO at the Beach, as well as in our mastermind. So I just thought this was a really good fit. The timing was just right for Patrick and Gary and all them, the guys at the Ranking Factory, to come promote this or present this to you guys. So with that said, Patrick, how are you?
I'm doing great. Appreciate it.
And Randy, say hi, man. I just met you as well. So
yes. Hi, everybody. Glad to be here.
And then lastly, Gary, but Gary's having audio issues, so I don't know if he'll jump in at a later time or what. But with that said, guys, I want to kind of turn it over to you. I'm just going to lurk in the background, and I may chime in occasionally with a comment or something. But
so thanks everybody for being here, and we're gonna, if nothing else, we're gonna try to have some fun today. If any of you have ever been on any of our webinars, you have to know that you can't take us too seriously about how we do things, but you can take us extremely seriously about what we do and how we do it, as Bradley had mentioned earlier. So it fitted for us to share with you in the email swipes and everything else a little bit about, if grandpas can do this, then anybody that's on this call can do it as well, right? And it doesn't take a lot of age for somebody to do this, because Randy is brand spanking new. I mean, Randy, you tell your story a little bit. How much of this did you know 5 months ago?
Well, I came into the idea of doing SEO with zero experience. It was something that I avoided because I couldn't figure out why somebody would want to wait 6 months, why a client would pay somebody, for 6 months before they ever started seeing results. And that was my experience with it. So I had avoided it. I had a partner I did some work with that he was doing some of it, very limited, just because it was so time consuming. And we ended up I got involved because my son, and you'll hear that story a little bit further on, but I got involved because my son had hired some people to get him ranked in his GMB as well as his website. He's a dentist, and he owns 4 dental practices in West Michigan area. And the best they were able to do is get him ranked number 9 in one of his practices, and they were supposedly the best of the best. They were brought to him by his CPA, who had a pretty good working relationship with them, and he paid them almost 6 figures to help him get his building his websites. He was doing a rebuild of all his websites, as well as doing ranking, or trying to rank them in the GMB. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And the net result was when I got involved with Patrick and Gary, we decided to, when I got involved, they said they kind of had a silver bullet, which was what we're going to show today. And I got excited about that and convinced my son to let us experiment on one of his dental practices that he had just opened about 18 months ago. And this other company was not doing anything with that particular practice. So he said, well, let's have it and see what you can do. And the rest is kind of history, which we'll share as we go along. When I got involved with these guys, like I said, I was new, wanted to get my son's site ranked for the GMB, and just followed what I'm going to show you today. And the result of that was that we got him ranked in 30 days. And he got pretty excited about that because it was a new site and he needed about 23 patients a month in order to hit the break-even point. And he was running between 20 and 25 patients a month in this particular practice, doing all the other things that they were doing to try to bring in business. And what we ended up doing is the following 30 days, we went from, there you go. But let me finish this. We went from about 20, I think the month before it was 24. And anyways, the following month, we jumped it up to 47 new patients.
Wow. It's almost double.
Yeah, it really was. And I'll explain where we are, today when I hit that part. But the result of that was he said, this is working out pretty well. Why don't you take a look at doing it for the rest of our, 4 practices? Because the guys that have it aren't doing anything. And besides that, we did get to give them we started taking over his total of his 4 practices, and we'll get in that then in a few minutes. So turn it over to you, Patrick.
All right. All the kinks and all the bugs are gone, Bradley. So at least for now. So anyway, what we want to do is give everybody a special bonus that we used to start with, Keyword Translation Factory. And so everybody can just click on that link, copy it down. And it's a tool that we use to help us with a lot of the titles and a lot of HTML that we're doing, and just a lot of tools in there. But it's a free system, and it helps, with creating titles and all kinds of different things. So I'm not going to go into it, but there's the link. Everybody go in there, and you can have some fun and play with it. It's a free tool, and it helps us quite a bit. So here's the first question that I have. With Backlink Factory and backlinks, we all know that it's a tremendous advantage, but with Google backlinks, it's a much higher advantage, right? So I have one question, and the question is, why do we have an unfair advantage with Google backlinks? Anybody have the answer to that question? Whoever answers it first, I'll go out in the chat later, and I'm going to give everybody 100 TRS coins. TRS coins is coins we created, not crypto, but it's coins that you can use to buy anything with us after the webinar. And it's for every $100 or every 100 coins, it's $150 worth of value. So if somebody can give me the answer to that question, we will definitely give that out as a prize. Okay. So the answer is kind of hidden in here, and you should have had enough time to think about it. The answer is backlinks from Google, do not show up in Ahrefs, do not show up as backlinks. So the unfair advantage that you have, including all of the items here, right, and powering up your ITT, unlimited quality backlinks, and so forth, and that's very simple, is that when you do something for somebody, they are not going to be able to find out how you did what you did, simply because these Google backlink properties do not readily show up in the HRES or the SEMrush environment. Okay, does everybody realize that? Give me a one in the chat if you guys know that, or whoever had that. Gary, you can figure that out and tell me later, okay? So you can read all these things. I'm not going to go over it, but these are all the parts and parcels of what Backlink Factory does. Okay, so with that being said, with the Backlink Factory, we're able to actually really smoke the competitors like Randy has said. You get unlimited primary and secondary keyword anchors. We are taking and merging local text to anchors, spinning the text boxes, unlimited URL boxes, which you'll see when Randy goes through. The stacking, which Bradley and Semantic Mastery teaches all the time, is parent and child folders. So we get the stacking, effect of the backlinks. And we have primary and customary, and we also do GMB map variants with NAP to give us the more relevancy and authority to go along with that. Okay, so we're going to give you a peek inside in a minute about what it is and how it works, and that's what Randy's going to share with us. But for a lot of people, sending their readers to you in Google's algo thinks that you're worthy of amplification because of the strong backlinks that you have, and we don't have to, Bradley, go into how important backlinks are. I mean, you've been teaching that since I first watched your Semantic Mastery presentation, what, 5 years ago, 4 years ago? When did you first start that?
With Semantic Mastery, 2014.
Okay, and then when you put together the whole PDF platform of exactly how you were doing it.
Oh, for Google Stacks and such, that was in 2015. Yeah, that was in 2015.
Right. So, you and I have been going back that far. You just didn't realize we'd been going back that far. But the whole basis of what you guys did is when Gary and I began to, in 17 and 18, figure out how to take those manual processes and put them into a software like we built. So the next question is, what is POI factory? Points of interest. Okay. And so everybody in chat, tell me if you understand POI. Do you use POI? I don't use POI. And if you do use it, what do you see as the advantage of using it in conjunction with BLF? And I'll just refer to as BLF, right? So one of the things that when Randy came on board, and a lot of people use, Bradley, they use backlinks and they use POI, and they create the backlinks and the embed codes from the POIs for driving. So I'm going to ask you this question and everybody else. How many different driving directions can you generate from a map? We can do driving directions from point to point. We can do bicycle directions, which nobody uses. We can do transit directions, which nobody uses. And we can do walking directions, which nobody uses. On a scale of 1 to 10, maybe 1% or 10% of the people that do this actually use all of these. And when you take the combined power of using every single opportunity that Google gives us, and Bradley, you teach us all the time, if Google gives you a crack, right, we've got to take a crowbar and pry it open and go into that crack and use it, right?
That's right.
I mean, we don't want to let anything go that we have an opportunity to use. And so what we came up with was, well, hell, everybody's doing POI driving directions. Well, I think we ought to do them all. And so we created the POI tool that actually does all of these at the same time, just by putting in a couple points of interest and then linking them back to your property, to and from, right? You use both to and from properties for driving directions. And then we take those and we put them into BLF, and Randy's going to show you how to do that in a minute. But then we also get what, guys? When you do a map pin POI, point of interest, not only do you get the map, but you also get the, somebody fill in the blank, embed code, right? So once we have the link and we have the embed code, now we have two Google properties that we can now utilize in our favor to bring juice from the local police station, to our business. Or what Randy likes to do is he likes to take the links from the local dentist that's not his, linking back to his dentist, his son. Relevancy, dentist to dentist, okay? But in increasing your proximity, the cool thing about this is, and I'll leave that to Randy to share, is we start off with point A and we end up at point Z. And that's how he was able to get up to 20 miles of relevancy into the map and get ranking in the 3-pack 20 miles away or 15 miles away from his center point. Is that exciting to everybody? I mean, that's
It
pretty
is.
crazy.
I'm excited, but I do have a question, and I'm hopefully you will address this throughout the presentation at some point, but I can see that being effective for storefront businesses. How does that apply to service area businesses?
Well, I'll let Randy, solve that problem for you when he gets to it.
Okay, good.
Okay. So, that's how we expanded it for the 20-mile range. And, it's a very important for us to realize that. So today we're going to have Randy go through this. He started 5 months ago. He's already gone through that. His son's a dentist. You'll hear more about his son's success, as we move on. Now, this is interesting. Okay, utilizing the same theory with Backlink Factory, not so much POI, but Brenda, is a success story here as well. She is a Amazon book seller. Okay, so I'm going to transition from Bradley, what you just said in terms of local businesses, to how can you use this for affiliates? How can you use this for, like in Brenda's case, for being a bookseller? So real quickly, she came into this process using Backlink Factory and something else that Gary's going to share with later, but primarily Backlink Factory. And her book is based on puzzles. She did puzzles based on a famous character. That famous character was a Western character. And if anybody can guess the name of who that character might be, I'll throw 50 TRS coins and I'll have to go through it later because I can't see the chat. But here's the cool part, Brad. She was ranked 1 million in Amazon for her puzzle book. 1 million. And then after she started to do the processes with me and Gary, and we were trying to teach her what to do, that came down and down and down and down and down to the point where she came from 1 million down to 25,000. Now, I don't know anything about Amazon, but I know that's a pretty significant swing one way or the other, good or bad, but in this case, it's good. So guess what happened? She never, ever got to be number 1 in the ranking for her puzzle book. But who out there can think of what she might have received by being down there that got her on the first page? Any ideas? You read them off to me, Bradley, because I can't see them. Anybody have a guess?
Nothing's coming through yet.
Okay. How about when you're on Amazon and you buy something, underneath the product that you're buying, what do they show you? They show you a bundle, right? If you're buying this screwdriver, you should buy this hammer. If you buy that hammer, you should buy this saw, correct?
Yep.
So what happened inadvertently for her is that she was able, based on the techniques and only the techniques that we taught her, to get her Amazon puzzle book ranked so low that it wasn't ranked so that she was number 1 for a puzzle book, but she was in the bundle for the number 1 book ranked for Western heroes and Western books. And so she was automatically on that front page with that first book, even though she wasn't a number 1 ranked book, by utilizing this idea and concept. So I bring that to your attention because it allows us to think outside our box, right? And shows us that the power of what we're doing has other ways of being funneled through to other different products and different things that we're doing. Make sense?
Yes.
Is that pretty cool?
Very cool. And it's good
So-
because I'm launching a book in about 2 months. So that
Are
might
you?
be good to use these strategies for that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll actually help you right along with that. So, there's Randy, and we're just going to kind of flip through that, and I'm going to let Randy, take over and share some of the slides we're going to talk about now. And this is where the exciting part starts to happen. So you just tell me when you want me to switch the slide, Randy.
Okay, well, these are just illustrating, it goes back to 11/10 of 2022. And it shows that Infinity Dental High Point Flats, which was this startup practice of my son, was ranking for best dentists near me, even though the keywords that I was going after were dental implants. And so a byproduct of ranking for dental implants was he was getting ranked for other keywords that we weren't even looking at the time. So just illustrates that fact. And by the way, here we are a few months later, and he's still right there.
Yeah, if
I'll show
anybody
you.
wants
Go
to
ahead.
fact check you, go ahead, right?
Yep, go ahead and change.
All righty.
Same thing for dental clinic back then. And the reason we had these slides was for a different presentation I had done back in November. So, but again, same thing for today. Go ahead and change it, Gary. Or
Yep,
Kevin.
there you go again, right?
Okay. This was for dental implants cost near me back then. He was ranked second. For dental implants, which obviously is a very hard word to rank for because there's no local connotation to it. He was ranked number one for dental implants in the Muskegon area. Go ahead. Dental implants Muskegon, we were actually ranking two of his dental practices. One that was in Norton Shores and the other one that was in Muskegon in the two spots in the 3-pack.
How far are they away, Randy, from each other?
They're about 6 miles apart.
Okay, so that's a pretty good proximity expansion.
Yep. Go ahead next. And again, just another example, just for the word dentist, they're ranked number one. Somebody just typed in dentist in that area, they would show up.
That's
Go ahead.
amazing. I mean, that's the main keyword, right?
Yep. And dentist near me, the same thing, number one. It's the same today. It's held its position. Go ahead, change that. This is what going back then it looked like with Infinity Dental Norton Shores, and they were ranking generally in the first or second place, and then the Infinity Dental today, Infinity Dental High Point Flats is ranking in the number one position most of the time.
What's the grid range on this, Randy?
3 miles.
From center point to end 3 miles.
Yeah, center point out in each direction is 3 miles.
So I mean, for anybody that
So that'd be a 6 mile span.
yeah, 6 miles, right?
Yeah.
So looking at this and using strictly what we are sharing today, what Bradley has us here to share with you, the tools and how we use this. How many of you right now would like to have your customers look like this? Give me a 1 in the chat if this is something that would be impressive for you to be able to do for your customers, your clients, or your family members or whatever, right? I mean, this is real stuff. This isn't just fake pictures that you see on some slide that they're selling you in the warrior form. This is real stuff, guys. So, and this is even better. So now we should have more people being excited. Right?
That's his other practice. It's in a smaller community, but they've taken over the whole community there.
That same 3 mile radius.
No, this one was a shorter radius back at that time that I did this.
Well, I want to know if I'm on Eastern Island down there, and I'm on my boat. I know that I'm still going to get ranked for your dentist, right?
Yes, you are.
Right in the middle of the water. All right. So
yeah.
How cool is that? So this is a slide that shows.
Yeah, this was from Viking, local Viking. It was just showing that these were other positions we were ranking for that we weren't, going after, but we were ranking for them. Go ahead, show the next slide. The same thing here, dentist number one, dentist near me number one, emergency dentist one.
You never tried to optimize for these keywords. Is that
not,
correct?
not at all.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting.
Well, I'll tell you one other thing that's interesting before we jump off of that into some of the other things. Infinity Dental High Point Flats, their GMB never mentions dental implants. And when I got started, and their website never mentioned dental implants. And yet we were ranking, doing what we were doing, at those levels without the sites or the GMB, mentioning dental implants.
Right. So why can you have a distinct advantage over the competitors and they won't know what hit them? Google loves Google, right? So in this webinar, we're going to focus on the ability to create quality, Google backlinks using only Backlink Factory. And we also know, Bradley, and you've taught this before, that whenever we're doing something with Google, such as Google backlinks, they're like stealth links. They're stealth atom bombs, right? I could do 100 backlinks and move the sites that Randy's moving and ranking for, and guess what? The competitors can't find what you're doing. Do you agree with that, Bradley?
Yeah, for the most part, unless they do a lot of digging.
Yeah, well,
Most people won't, most competitors won't put that kind of effort in to try to find them. So,
well, I think we know most people are doing what they're doing. They're not quite as ambitious as you and I and the guys in Semantic Mastery and Backlink Factory and the Ranking Factory, right?
yeah.
So, as an advertised bonus, we're going to include either the metadata description and or your NAP for local clients in their map at no additional charge. In other words, we have built into the software itself the ability to hide some of this information, and Randy's going to go over that with you in just a few seconds, right? So for the demos, please welcome Randy, blah, 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 blah. Randy's here. And, give everybody give Randy a 5 for just showing that you love him. Let's see some 5s in the chat, right? This isn't his regular gig and he does it 10 times better than I do. So Ed Bradley, you do not have to comment about that. All right, so I'm going to have Randy take over and share his screen and show the process, show what we're doing.
Sounds good.
Okay,
All right.
let me.
Let me make Randy a host.
Okay.
Oh, and you know what, Patrick, you're the host now, so you're in control.
Oh
So-
shit.
so
I
make
don't
me
know
a-
that was wise of me to give you control.
Oh, let's see. I got Randy make host. Do you want to change host to Randy? I figured it out, bud. I've only been doing this for 4 years. What do you expect?
Okay, so we'll show my whole screen here. Let's go ahead and share that. Hopefully everybody can see that.
Yeah, I'm gonna Yep.
Okay,
got your Zoom up.
yeah, I'm gonna take that off. Okay, again, these were just showing, I was showing that they're still at the same, positions they were before, whether you
Oh.
looked at.
So wait a minute, stop. That that's pretty impressive that you're bold enough and ballsy enough to go live checking what you're putting on the screen to show what you've done. A lot of people won't do that.
Well, this is live. This I just pulled up before the seminar. So again, dental implants near me. Infinity Dental is number 1. I'm going to close this one out and just go on to the next one. Dentist near me. Infinity Dental is number 1 in Muskegon. Dental implants, Muskegon, Michigan. Is Infinity Dental. Norton Shores is actually number 2, and Infinity Dental is number 3. And dental implants, just the plain old dental implants, Infinity Dental is number 1. Now, a couple of questions came up in the Q&A before I get started, and that is, there's a question of why didn't I expand out further when I did my geo grids to see how far out they would go. First of all, I look at this is a dentist, and a dentist when you look at evaluating a dental practice, the companies that evaluate dental practices look at what is the number of dentists relative to the population in that area in a 3-mile radius. And so, because 90% of their business is going to come from a 3-mile radius. And when we looked at this, we went out further because we're doing, dental implants and pulling from a little bit larger area. Somebody else asked the question of what was going on with a larger community. When you look at Muskegon and the surrounding areas in Muskegon, you're looking at roughly 100,000 population, in a area that we're covering. And to put it in perspective, before I jump into showing everything, let me explain where Jared is today. Before we got started, I mean, his business was obviously good because he had 4 practices in this particular region of West Michigan. And we started going after the dental implant business because he wanted to transition over from just plain dentistry into dental implants. The reason why is the profit margins were a lot larger. It's an area that he'd like to work in. So when we got started, his dental implant business was approximately under $5,000 a month doing dental implants. We decided that we were going to push this, which is why I got involved. And where we are today is his business is growing so fast that I was with him last Sunday, and last Sunday he told me that their office is, a dentist doesn't like to be filled out beyond 10 days because people could go out and go to another dentist because they want to get into somebody. Currently, his practice is filled out to May. So from last Sunday to right now, he's got February, March, April, and May. He is booked solid. They leave some room for emergency patients and that type of thing. For him, that's a problem. It's a good problem to have, but it means that he has to go out and hire some more dentists. Since we got involved, he has hired 5 more dentists in his dental practices, and his income went from about $5,000 a month is what they were doing with all the offices, and it's currently a little over $80,000 a month. So he's generating a little bit more than $1 million a year doing this. And right now he's gone to his architect, and they drew up some blueprints to add an 8-operatory expansion onto the existing business that will be just for dental implants. And he looks to continue to build that up from here. So, sometimes we don't know what difference the things that we're doing, makes for our clients. But fortunately for me, because he's my son, he's shared this type of information with me. And I mean, that's a huge impact on a dentist and, their business. So the result of that is his wife is an attorney, and he said, well, Dad, why don't you do that for Daisy? And so we went out and we're doing the same things for her. And the one last question I'll answer before I get started is, how does this compare in larger communities, metropolitan areas, and that type of thing? Well, it does a pretty good job. We have one client that's out in Des Moines which is not a huge area.
New York City, but it's still big.
Yeah, and Des Moines, he's ranking number 1, 2, and 3 in the 3-pack for and he's ranking for 108 keywords. And we're currently delivering to him between we can count on 10, but it's usually 10 to 15 new leads a day. So this system works very well, regardless of where it is. And I certainly would have no hesitation to go out into a larger city and be doing it. Obviously, if you have a little tougher competition, it may take a little bit more to, get them there. But that's where we are. And so
Cool.
anything you want to?
No, the only thing I want to know is how many of you guys out there right now, type me in the chat if you want to deliver 5 to 10 new leads a day to your customers and clients. Type me if you do, and if you don't type me, then it was nice seeing you. You can kind of like go. That's right. That's right. Come on. Everybody in here should want to do what. And let me rephrase that, Bradley. I'm going to put my name in there too. Me. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And by the way, guys, I've got to say this, just like every other webinar that we ever do. Yes, there will be a replay. Okay. I just had to clarify that because that question comes up. Have you guys ever been on a webinar where there wasn't that question asked?
And I'll have a replay but mine will be edited. Just kidding. Actually, it's just all fun, right? If you can't have fun doing this, Bradley, why do it?
That's right.
So we're going to let Randy kind of dig into the weeds here. You guys want to have him show you a little bit about what backlink factory and POI is, and kind of walk through the steps. We're not going to run the software, unless he can run it to begin with and show it at the end, just because things happen on webinars and bandwidth and stuff like that. So type "let's go" if you guys want to see how this works and how we're running it. Let's go, Randy. Let's go, buddy. Come on, bring it on.
Okay. So
everybody, let's go.
What you're looking at here, let me get this in the middle here and get a few things kind of out of the way. Okay, I'm going to actually take you right through the Infinity Dental High Point Flats to explain what the software does. But before I do that, I think one of the things that I do want to cover with you that is important is to explain the process that you have to go through if you are going to be doing this manually.
That's a good idea.
Because manually, it's just it's a very tedious process. So if I went into, for an example, I'm right now, I've got my longitude latitude set to Muskegon, so I'll just use that and say let's do dentist Muskegon. Okay, and I'm going to go down to more places here, and the reason I want to do that is I want to show the map. And when I'm showing the map, what I'm going to do is to say, if I want to start getting driving directions to my location, what I'll do is I would open up this map and say, okay, I want to go from, let's say, the Getty Street Grill over somebody driving to my office. And so what I would do is I'd type on or open up Getty Street Grill. I'd look and say, here's their address. And now I need to copy that address. And I'm going to do just that because this is the process. And let me shrink this down just a little bit. And I'd put that in a notepad. And then I'd go out and I'd find the next one I would want to go to. And let's say that was, we'll go to Port City Dental over here, a competitor. And I would have to do the same thing. I'd go out and be copying and pasting this information into a spreadsheet that I can then put in the software. Now, we normally run in the software typically anywhere from 30 to 50 driving directions. And that just takes a bit of time if you're going to be doing this for that many, points of interest that we want to have driving directions come back to us. So rather than do that, what I just showed you here, and just imagine for yourself, you're doing that 60 times and try and find points of interest that you're going to get driving directions to. What we do instead is we have the amazing POI factory, GMB POI factory. And the first thing, I'll explain a little bit about the software, but the first thing we're going to do with that is we're going to locate our GMB and be able to grab certain points of interest from that GMB in order to know that our driving directions are going to that particular entity. And you do that. You just, if this wasn't up here, I'd just start typing in Infinity Dental, and we'd see here it's not Norton Shores that I want, it's Infinity Dental High Point Flats, and it would pull this screen up to be able to look for points of interest. Now, along with that, what we want to do though is we want to go out and use what Patrick was talking about, our POI tools. What we're going to do is we're going to create an association between certain keywords and the driving directions. And what we have the ability to do with the software is we can either click on this button, which is that button where it says destination. That is somebody, for an example, like a dentist, where the client is coming to the dentist. If we were a service area business like a plumber, we would click the starting point to be at our location going out to the location where you may have your plumbing services. And as Patrick had indicated, we have the ability to do driving, walking, cycling, and transit. I'm running this as if it was, I was doing it myself. I run this once a week in order to build up the number of backlinks that we're doing. So what I'm going to do in this case is, instead of having to add all those points of interest into the sheet or those locations into the sheet, what our software does is it allows us to say, let's go out and get the pin maps for that particular location, and we can do it 1, 2, or 3 miles. Now, the reason we're limited to 1, 2, or 3 miles is simply because that's what the API does, and then there's a workaround to expand that out to as far as you want to work it, whether it be 15, 20, 30 miles, whatever you want to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to now, I'll do a quick search here, and let's change this to 2 miles, and go ahead and find the pins that go into that 2 mile radius around that. And what it's done is it's gone out and immediately found all these points of interest that would have taken us a long time to accomplish. And what I can do is I can now send that over to the front end of the software with a click of a button. And now I have all these points of interest that I've added to this particular software. I'm not sure how many there are. I think it comes up with 20. I can't remember, it's 20 or 40 every time. Once you start going out further, one of the things I do with the software is I gather 1,000 points of interest around the areas going out as far as I want to go. And then what I do is I randomize that so that Google sees these driving directions coming in every week at different points. So they're not all in one location. They're kind of spread randomly around my GMB. And so the next thing that we do is we take these points of interest and we run it through the software to get a point-to-point URL that we can now use. And it's that fast. 60 URLs at the blink of your, as fast as you can snap your fingers.
And that used to take you how long to do that manually?
It took hours to do it manually.
Right.
I mean, I went through, because I wanted to make a point when I was out prospecting with clients, what you can do with this software between POI and Backlink Factory. And I calculated it out. I took, would do 10 things and then I extrapolated from there. And it would take you 54 full-time employees. I don't care what you want to pay them, but it'd take you 54 full-time employees to do what we can do with POI and Backlink Factory.
Wow.
And nobody's going to pay somebody to have that done, but we can do it with the software, and it obviously gives us an unfair advantage. So now we have all of our point-to-point interests, and we have our iframes where we can, take this information here and we can put it in an iframe. Now, what I normally do is I'll take my worksheet that I've done for my Webby.
But can I stop you just for a minute? Because I'm looking at the code at the bottom underneath all those video URLs, Randy. I just wanted some clarification. It looks like you guys have the iframe and then you've got the keyword group at the end before the closing frame tag. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. So that's also a point where you could potentially inject schema if you wanted to and all that. But I like how you guys have that in there. I was curious because I saw an iframe code and then a bunch of keywords. I just wanted to make sure that I was clear on that.
Yeah,
yes.
The beauty of it is, Bradley, the way that it's created is that's a template. You can do whatever you want with it once it's created, right?
Gotcha. Beautiful. Okay, thanks. Sorry.
No,
Nope.
that's quite okay. So what we've done now is I take this information, because as important as it is to have all this information, the multiplying power comes when we throw it into Backlink Factory. Because in Backlink Factory, what we're doing is we're saying we're going to take some keywords and we're going to attach them. We're going to send backlinks over and attach them to these driving directions so that Google looks at that and says, I associate the fact that you're in, let's say, whatever one of those businesses were. I'm going to associate the fact that all these dental keywords are associated with that location going back to my dental office, or if it was a plumber going back to his office, and vice versa. And so a lot of power in there. But that's really the power that you have with Backlink Factory with the GMB. And what I'm going to do next, and we'll come back and answer any questions. I'll leave this open, because one of the things you can do is the next software I pull up and always have ready to go is my POI. Now, one thing that I can't express how important this is the fact that you could save the work that you just did, and just by going to save that, and it automatically saves it, so I can pull that back up at any time. And when I go to start my next run a week from now, I would go out and just open it up and it would be all set to go, and I just plug in a whole new set of either keywords or directions, however I want to manipulate the software at that point in time. So with that said, the next thing we want to do is in the process is open up Backlink Factory. Now, Backlink Factory is, let me kind of explain a few things in there before we get too far into the software. One of the things with Backlink Factory is you have the ability to use different Gmail accounts. And so I have different Gmail accounts set up for here. I mean, I can continue to take this on depending, whether I wanted to have 20 Gmail accounts in here or 100 Gmail accounts in here. But just working here with my son's practices, we're just restricting it to a few particular Gmail accounts. And then the second thing you want to do is you want to associate it with the particular location. And just like we did before, you can actually type in the name of the location and it will automatically bring it up. And then what it will do is you're going to generate all the important information, the NAP information, the embed code, the plus code, the latitude, longitude, the map URL, the address, the CID information. All that is being gathered for you in one place. And what you can do is you can automatically send that over to the next step, which is going to be where we create the sheets. Now,
this is where the magic happens that Brian Cato showed me a few times.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's the master, so we will defer to Brian as the master. We're just Sumalings, trying to emulate the master on it.
Yeah.
Right?
My videos that I watched when I got started were of Brian.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
And we're gonna release that to everybody too. So once they get that Brian's video.
So what I've done for my son's practice now is I've got what I want for my GMB located in here. There's other things you can add. You can add, keywords. I can add an entire list of keywords in here as well. But you have your parent folder, your child folder. You've got your status that you're targeting. And when we're doing GMBs, basically all three of these are the same. And again, once I save this, all this information will be ready for me for the next time around based on the number of keywords and that type of thing I put in here. Now,
Randy, just real quick, one thing to edify is that each of those three boxes, they don't have to be the same. So, the A box could be all the GMB information. The B box could be 500 links from Wikipedia about your business for relevancy. The C box could be 53 YouTube videos that, are all about exactly what you're talking about. So just want to make sure that when people see this, they don't think that has to be the same.
Yeah.
You can, recreate different scenarios in each of those three boxes and they're all, be a lot, not necessarily more powerful, but they'll be a lot more diverse.
Yes. And the other thing that you can do, and I'm not going to show it here, but I'm using it for the GMB. You can use it for any property that you have. It could be for a YouTube video. It could,
right?
G sites, absolutely for G sites.
Yes.
Absolutely for YouTube videos, for whatever property you want to be sending this power to. Now, we don't send the power over to their main site. Because frankly, what Gary has told me, and I'll blame this on him, is he says, if you want to blow up the site, send all this power over to them. And so we send it to a G site that then, sends it on to their regular site.
Yeah, I've heard stories about a site being vaporized in the thin air.
We're gonna have to cut that part out. We don't want to be, getting everybody messed up with that. But.
Yeah. So your controls up here is, again, just to verify that you're going to the right place. That I'm going to Infinity Dental High Point class here. Whoops. Now, and you can set your parent name, because this is we're doing this for the Webby. I'm going to go out and delete this after we're done, because I'm actually expanding out and further areas at this time. And if you want to work it so it's geo targeted, for an example, I could let's get that back. I could turn around and say, I'm targeting the Muskegon area, let's say that, and probably because I'm only 2 miles out, that would be the case. So I could geo target that by putting in here Muskegon, Michigan. And now I'll bring that up. And now I can merge that with my primary keywords, and my whole thing is done. If I had another set cities, you know, and I had a bunch of cities I wanted to put in, it would just duplicate that with that particular city. The next thing that, now I like to set it up where I'm doing my own custom word stack, but you can set it up so that your keyword is your anchor text. You can have it be the primary keyword stack, be your actual keywords here, as opposed to, you know, a custom keyword stack. You can add a folder link stack in, and, you know, I don't have to explain to you, according to Gary, you know, this is things that you guys live off of all the time and understand stacking. I'm sure you understand it 10 times better than I do. What I'm doing is kind of, like I said, following what Brian said, and then following what Gary and Patrick have taught me. And so we have this thing set up to where I'm ready to run it. The only thing I have to add in is I need to add in the URLs that I want to send this information to, which is going to be the driving directions. And so I can just take these, copy them in, and I can put them into here. Paste them into there.
Now, how many links have you just created, Randy?
I just created 1,140 links times 3.
3,300 links.
3,300 links that are going to be going to my GMB property.
So how many people think that's too many links going to your GMB? Anybody?
I would say that's a bit much, don't you think?
Well,
Yeah, we actually, one of the nice things about the software is they put up this warning side for us.
Omar, either one, GMB or G site. So Bradley, here's what we found, right? We have the button up there for a warning for a reason, right? Because some people will not be paying attention, they'll get excited, and they'll put, you know, a lot of different links and a lot of different URLs. If you're not creating the buffer site, and you already know what that is, and everybody on your Semantic Mastery knows what the buffer sites are, you can slam that thing with as many as you want. You're going to be okay, because you're only going to get that fire hose effect of one link, your one buffer site throwing all that juice out to wherever you're directing it, right?
Right.
Okay. So we know that that's probably going to be okay. But if you take the same amount of power and you shoot all that power to a website, which is not a Google property, you have just possibly destroyed the website. So that's why we're always, you know, recommending the buffer sites and making sure that we do it in a proper way to protect the customer and client from things happening that shouldn't happen. All right. And so with that counter up there, I think if it gets a little bit higher, it's supposed to turn red. Maybe it's not turning red because you haven't hit the threshold yet, but it is a warning. And so to back off a little bit, right?
Yep. And so what I normally do is, you know, I'll just delete some of these, you know, out of here, which is easier said than done sometimes. So let's delete this much. I don't know if that's going to be enough, but we'll see. Okay, that was down to 38. So we're down to 722. I usually, in his particular case, I happen to know that I normally will target 50 keywords or 50 driving directions. Okay, but for the purpose of what we're doing here, I'll just leave it where it is right now, which is at 38. And that gives us unique rows of 722, which times 3 is going to be backlinks of 2,100, backlinks going over to my GMB site. So once we've done that, really the only thing left to do is we just go ahead and say, let's publish these URLs. And so I'll hit the thing. And if I was doing this process and opened it up, going from the first process to the second process, to this one and running it, those two things together takes me about 5 to 7 minutes. Okay.
That's because you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So if you don't know,
I've been doing it, the first time I did this, it took me an hour and a half to double check and make sure I was doing everything right and trying to figure it all out. But after that, it just goes fast. So what's happening now is this information is going into this particular Google Gmail site. So I'm going to open up that Gmail site right now just to show you what's going on. And I'll go down to my sheets. And these sheets are coming in here now. And it's still making the folders.
So Bradley, think of the time, and everybody out there. Yeah, you can sit there and do this manually, but then you have to create the folders, you have to create the links, you have to put them in here. And how much time do you think this is saving you from getting this completed when before this it has to be all manual?
Nobody would do it. Like I said, when I calculated this out, it was going to take somebody 54 hours to do everything that this software does. And it does it this fast. It's insane. So now if we took a look at, for an example, one of our sheets here, you'll see that the sheet is broken down into, it's got all my keywords associated with it. It's got the links, it has Dennis near me. And so, it has everything we want. And if we go on down, that's why it has the number of links. We keep going down. And of course, Google is picking these up because they're in my G site. There it is, 722 links times 3. And if we ended up going to Dental Implants Muskegon and loading that up, there's our driving directions. Guy has Infinity Dental, High Point Flats. It's got the longitude and latitude in there, going from the directions to wherever we have it set up. So, I mean, gives you everything you could possibly want to have. And then after that, if you guys do buy it, which I highly recommend, obviously, the other thing that you get is you get the ability to be part of the Skype group. And I'm going to tell you this, I belong to 3 other masterminds, and I've been involved with some other ones along the way. Obviously they weren't SEO type of masterminds. They were different ones. And this is what the Backlink Factory Mastermind looks like. I mean, it's active all the time with people asking questions and getting information from it. Just a tremendous amount of value that comes into the masterminds. And I'll tell you, I get more value in the mastermind from all the guys that are in there, but Gary and Patrick and that, than I do in any of the other masterminds that I belong to. It's just an incredible resource. In fact, I was looking at today because I have a running total of the key points that I really think are important that I don't want to lose as this thing goes, continues to get bigger and bigger. And so my document of just the key points from the Backlink Factory is 106 pages long. of notes. I mean, and this stuff is huge. It's just insane the amount of information that's in there. And it's just been pulled out of all what was shared here in the backlink factory. And they have the same thing with the POI factory, you know, people sharing information there that just is very, very valuable. But in terms of what we've accomplished, we've got a lot of backlinks now going on, you know, to our GMB, and that's what I did in order to get where we want to be. Any questions or thoughts or anything there, Patrick? I know you can see the screen.
Well, first off, just want to see, you know, from Bradley's perspective of, you know, showing and teaching and been doing this for years and years and years, you know, what value do you see in this, Bradley, from the perspective of time and energy to the results that you can achieve?
Well, I'm seeing it for the georelevance point of view, which is precisely what you guys just showed. And I understand what is, you know, the concept of using Google Maps data and points of interest and all that. Georelevance is what I call it, georelevance data. And I also understand the sheet and all the links that were just created, but to kind of expand on what Harry is asking about in chat, so that it's clear for everybody else, because I'm sure it's not clear for him, or if it's not clear for him, it's not clear for everyone else as well. What do you do with the sheet afterwards? Like, is it just creating the links in the sheet and then you're done? Or what are some of the things that you would do with that sheet afterwards?
Well, I guess I could tell you what we do with it. I don't know if Patrick wants me to share that information.
Go ahead. We're open forum, baby.
Okay. This is kind of like taking a bazooka to a gunfight. But this is what Gary has taught us. So I'm going to show you exactly what he has us do. Let me go back to my property here. What I do with this, the first thing I do is I copy all these links and I make them public, and then I create a Google Doc, and in that Google Doc it has all my links. So I'm starting a little mini stack with that. This one second, let me get I gotta get where I want to be. Get out of here. So for an example, with my Google stack, I have a document that I create. I'm just copying all those backlinks to it. And when I'm done, here's backlinks to everything I've done there. And that's just the start of the process. The second part of the process that I do, which adds a huge amount of power to it, is I go to calendars. And now in my calendars, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an event. And let me just show you one of the events that was already created. So in the event, I will go ahead. Can't I move it? I should be able to. I guess I can't move it. Okay, in the event that I've created, I give it a title, you know, to join dental implant specialist, Dr. Jared Bandit or some, for a discussion about dental implants and that. So I'm packing it full of keywords. I set up location is going to be at Infinity Dental, High Point Flats. I turn around and I set this up. In fact, let me do it more as an edit. I set this up so that it's free and it's public. I'm going to have this event occur and repeat itself Monday through Friday from now until infinity. Okay, so because it's an event, Google picks up it as a new event every single day that the event is shown as being a new, brand new event. And then what we do is we put in information that highlights, our topic. And there's a lot of different type of information you can put in here. Basically, I run an AI and I stuff this with the AI. And then I also, and I have something in the way here. Gotta figure out how I move this. Let me just move this out of the way for a second. There we go. Okay.
So
That,
basically what Randy is sharing with you guys here is just a little bit of what we go into, Bradley, when we have our training classes and some of the things that we're doing, strictly for members. So I don't
Okay.
want to go too deep in the weeds here,
Right.
but
I understand.
you know,
I understand.
So-
And guys, just I wanted to hear some of the things that you guys are doing with these sheets, but I have some other ideas that I know.
and then we attach the sheets to it.
Yeah. But like, for example, embedding these sheets with these POI links and everything into an ID page, that could be incredibly helpful because that's about georelevance. Think about local PBNs, which is precisely why I wanted to have these guys on, because I'm developing a process for that. And I could see pushing georelevance to local PBN sites with sheets and the POI factory software. So I can see a lot of uses for that in some stuff that I'm doing currently, in addition to what you guys are showing now. So.
all right. No, it's like an infinite chasm of opportunity when you look, Bradley, at Google. And I know nobody knows the answer to this question, but from one to 500, how many properties does Google actually own? Anybody have a guess? From 1 to 500, somewhere in between that, Google properties? Anybody?
I have
Think
no
it's-
idea.
272.
Okay.
Okay. So when we talk about one product, right, Sheets, or we talk about G Sites, or we talk about Google News, right, or we talk about any of the Google properties that are just actually in the when you go into your Google Calendar, or not your calendar, but your email, and you look all the way down on the right hand side on the 9 dots, every single one of those guys is an opportunity to do what we're doing here. Nobody gets it, Bradley.
Yeah.
Nobody. I mean, they just look at those as properties. What about Google Books? What about 100 other things that we can do with what this information that we're providing for everybody here in literally 20 minutes? Google Keep, right? You couldn't do this in 5 hours by the time you got done doing all this manually. And we got the power, like you've said before, with what you're teaching with Semantic Mastery, you got the power of the atom bomb in your hand. You just got to know where to explode it.
Yeah.
And that's the power of being able to use Google as your BI, whatever you want to fill in the blanks. It's amazing. I mean, we've been doing it for 4 years, and results just get better and better and better and better and better all the time.
Can I share one other thing with them, Patrick?
You're going to if I say no anyway, so go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm sure everybody's here has heard about, Chat GPT and AI and all that type of thing. And what Patrick and them are doing now is they are in the process of creating their own AI software. This was a document that I had created. I'd like to get moved. There we go. It goes in and it creates, you can go in and get all your topics and then decide what you want to use for your topics. And you can go ahead and run that in an AI and get this information that you could stuff and use wherever, like in your G sites or something like that. Absolutely insane software. And I was showing Patrick today, what I did is I took that and I put that into software that I use when I'm doing my content called Phrase. And when I put it in Phrase, what it does is it has you go out and look at your content and compare that with the top 20 people that are, you know, the top 20 for that particular content or article. And out of the box, before I start even massaging it, this came in at 80% optimized. And from there, I'd finish optimizing it until it was 100% if I was going to set it up as a blog post or something like that. So you got all this information you can turn into a blog, you can turn it into, you know, all the incredible things that we all know how to do. But it was specifically designed to create information to be thrown into our G sites. Just a powerful piece of software. And now I'll let Patrick say what he wants to do with it.
Randy, stop. Bradley, this is where Gary comes in and says, how many people need to go to Walmart right now? I'm interjecting Gary, so pretend I'm Gary, Bradley, okay?
Okay.
So how many people need to go to Walmart right now? What are you gonna ask me? And you're gonna say what? For what? Why do I need to go to Walmart?
Okay. Well, why do we need to go to Walmart?
We want to make sure you get your depends.
It depends. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't take credit for that. That's 100% Gary. Now, I want to just interject that I may have this piece deleted from your replay, if you don't mind. But
Okay.
I wanted to share with everybody that's here today, this is what we are building. And we're going to add it to each and every one of our softwares, Ranking Factory, Backlink Factory, you know, GMB Factory, all of them, so that we can bring in, like you were talking about earlier, relevancy, right? And we can bring in good content that makes sense. And we can bring it into the G sites and build the G sites and have the H1s and H2s. I mean, right up there, I don't know if you can probably see it, but there's a way that we can determine where it says 6. Yeah, heading 1, 2, right. So we can develop that whole thing now right within our content, and then take this and insert it into your Google Sites even, right, Bradley? I mean,
Yeah.
you could take the whole thing and write your Google Sites, and you could take it, use it in your PBNs, and you could take your PBNs and link back to your Google Sites, and link back to your Google Sites, and to all the other Google Sites, and link back to the one, but pressure washer hose that comes to where? Your website. There's that one link that comes out to your website, one link that goes to your YouTube video, one link that goes to your images, right? And all of this is sitting behind it. And you know as well as I do over the years, Google reads everything. Google indexes everything. You just don't know about it. And quite frankly, if you're like me, you don't care if you get indexed or not, because Google
That's right.
reads it.
As long as it crawls it, that's all that matters.
That's right, right? So as a matter of fact, you're probably more in tune with me on this than anything. I don't want this indexed.
Yeah.
I don't want this shit to be seen in somebody do site.com, blah, 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 and have all of this show up. You don't want it. At least I don't want it, right?
Yeah.
And so this is going to give you the power of what you're talking about earlier about, talking about creating your G site PBNs and stuff like that. Now you don't have to go to all these other programs. I mean, you can if you want and do it, but we're trying to make it simple. And for right now, for everybody that's here, when we build this into it, it's going to be completely free. We are not going to increase our price. We're not going to charge anything for it. We're going to add all of that, what Randy just shared with you guys, completely free. And I want to tell you something. We've only been building this AI that Randy used today for 2.5 weeks. So you can imagine how much better it's going to get as we move along, right? So anybody that's listening and hearing me rant and rave about this, in the chat from 1 to 10, how cool do you think adding AI into the software is to give you the relevancy that Bradley's talking about for the content that you need to put into what you need to get Google to read it, to Google not to necessarily quote unquote index it, but even so, the G sites, even if they're not indexed, Bradley, they're going to rank.
Yeah.
Right? Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, you can push relevance and link equity even with the non-indexed link. So,
Very much so, right?
so what's the offer then, guys? Because I think we're at a pretty good point where people are going to be asking, like, okay, where's the link already?
I don't know, we'll have to ask Rod to pop them in the chat. So here's what we're gonna do. Backlink Factory is fairly expensive. So we're gonna offer a lifetime and a hybrid. Hybrid means you pay a little bit upfront and then you pay monthly. There's gonna be a coupon in there for you guys, Bradley, for 20% off. And anybody that buys the Backlink Factory is going to get the POI Factory for free. Okay?
Cool. Great.
Can I go back and buy it?
No.
Hey, Patrick,
Yeah.
do we want to do that extra bonus for the people that do the hybrid or lifetime
You can ask
first
Bradley.
10?
You can ask Bradley.
Extra bonus for the first 10. Yeah, I don't even know what the bonus is, but sure.
We're gonna do something that nobody's ever seen before. We would do a single quad stack. And Randy can tell you the value of the quad stack. The quad stack is what took Brenda and moved her book 26,000 spots in 24 hours.
Okay.
So we
We'll go
we could share an image or two, but we're not gonna demo it.
Okay.
It's insane. It's just insane.
How many people know or have ever heard of a quad stack that are on the call?
I don't even think I've
Give
heard of
me
it,
a
man.
one if you've ever heard.
Oh, the only way that they would know about it is if they're in any of our rooms.
Okay, let me know when you can see my screen.
I'm seeing it.
We've seen it.
Okay, we're gonna share a few images with you. And I'm gonna take you to an actual calendar. I apologize if my screen is black and white. I ran into a worm problem today. But I will show you what a single stack is. Virtually a single stack is 5 across, 5 deep, auto repeating Monday through Friday. This will go to infinity. So if I go ahead into other months, you can see it'll go forever. So it's an auto updating, auto repeating. But for those of you that know how to use a buffer doc, this is my first event. And it's the only event that you actually have a link in. So if I ever lost a client or I changed my mind, if it's a click offer that expired, I can come in and edit this link, change one link, just like a buffer, and I can add a new target. Now, how great is that?
So that answers the question that somebody had in the chat about, could you turn it off if somebody decided there was a client, could you just
Absolutely,
Yeah.
not only turn it off,
swap it out
Um,
anyway?
I'm going to show you a couple more images. This particular image for organic keywords is Brenda's. Brenda's business, and I got permission to share this with you. Her business from last year to this year has increased by 40% revenues. That's how far her business has gained in a pandemic. So if you could grow your business 40% during a pandemic, what can you grow your business in good times? We're gonna drop that. See if I can get back to my images there. There we are. And whoops, I missed that, didn't I? There we go. This is Brenda's quote from a live chat room, which this is the very first quad stack that was ever done by anybody other than me. And it was a very simple quad stack. It was just a horizontal quad stack. She just stacked on the ends. She never went deep or vertical. And her book, her perspective is, it was like a independent theme park beating out Disney. I mean, that book, she took #1 in her niche. Now, it's not her only book. She does a lot of books. But I mean, she was so tickled that, I mean, she would do anything to help me after that. And I really appreciate, she does my artwork. So if I pull up my artwork, this was done by Brenda. This is her way of doing things, and we appreciate it. So we got one more image I do want to show you, which is, well, 2 images. This is an actual triple stack. We only do singles, doubles, and triples. A triple is a 5 by 15 deep auto repeating. Okay, so this really has a syndication effect, but you get to control the URL. So if you could syndicate something and have it go on forever, and the only thing you ever got to change is one URL, you can't have it any better than that. Do we have any questions on this real quick? I know we're not going to have a lot of time.
No, I don't see any questions about this specifically, but real quick clarification. Patrick, when you said the bonus is available for lifetime or hybrid, correct? For Backlink Factory.
Yes.
Patrick, you're muted.
Patrick, your mic is turned off.
I was trying to not interrupt everybody. So yes, we're gonna go ahead and, do that for you guys. And like I said, anybody that gets the Backlink Factory lifetime or hybrid, we're gonna give them the POI for free. And we just want to make sure that everybody, gets very, very great value and understanding what we're doing, and you being, nice enough to have us here. The links are in the chat, so everybody can see those in the chat as well. And then we'll have to add another slide when we're done so that you can add it to the replay, and it'll be on the end of the replay. Okay.
Sure. Okay, and then another one was question was, is there training for all of this, like the calendar stacking and that kind of stuff as well?
Yes.
Calendar stacking's not been released to the public yet.
Okay, but if somebody purchased Backlink Factory, would they eventually get that? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the only place it's available currently is the calendar room, which is a $20 a month room.
Gotcha.
So it'd be worth it because the calendar course itself will run probably 97 on the front end and the OTO at 197 for the advanced version of it. So if anybody's thinking about the calendar course, talk to Rod or somebody about the calendar room.
Okay, thank you.
Single pay is lifetime for both. Yes.
Yeah. And the hybrid, guys, is just it's a combination of an upfront payment and then a monthly. That's what he was saying. So you do not purchase Backlink Factory and hybrid. You purchase the Backlink Factory with either a lifetime deal or the hybrid offer.
Right.
It's one or the other.
Kind of a good mix, Bradley. A lot of people want to save a little bit of money on the lifetime, but they don't want to have a larger monthly payment. So it kind of like mixes the two as a hybrid, lower upfront, lower monthly payment.
Yeah. And so Nigel, the single pay is for both programs, right?
Yes.
Backlink Factory and POI. The POI is being thrown in with the Backlink Factory if you
That's
pay for a lifetime. Correct.
That's correct. I know we're giving away the store here, but we are kindred spirits on the same river going down down the river, Bradley. And so you guys understand what we're doing. When you get involved with these and start to see how they work, it's going to click with you guys really simply because of Bradley's teaching and you guys understanding exactly how all this stuff works together. So it's going to be a little bit easier, Bradley, for us to do that for people, and they're going to get it right away, right? Would you agree with me?
Yes.
So Mike, none yet it's a new process. I don't know. Okay. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. And then we've seen some power of the stacks already, and that's what, like Gary was saying with Brenda, and this is part of that, and we use Backlink Factory to backlink the stacks, right? So it gives you an extra boost for power as far as that goes. Is POI included in both offerings, hybrid and single? Yes, David, it is. Yeah, the hybrid or the single, we're going to give you the give that to you for free, POI for free. Cloud, is there any ability to build cloud sites with Backlink Factory? Well, no, not that we know of. You can be creative if you want, but right now they're just direct, straight, raw links
The sheets.
to
Yeah.
sheets and
Yeah.
sheets directly to wherever you want to point that fire hose at. That makes sense?
Yeah, and guys, cloud pages, cloud hosted pages are good targets for these
Oh
kind
my
of
God,
sheets
yes.
because of the high domain authority and domain rating on the cloud storage URLs, the buckets, essentially. Those are really good targets for the sheets. Like that can be your buffer page. An ID page could be a buffer page. Any one of your, I would say a cloud hosted page. I typically do branded cloud pages, but yeah, those are all good targets for buffer sites for these.
And they can, and Bradley, they can take multiple links from Google as well, because, you know, AWS can take a hit, right?
Oh yeah.
Take a hit. So you don't want to be crazy with it, but you don't have to just have that single pressure washer fire hose coming out and having that one single link going to what you want. You can be a little bit more creative, especially, you know, on the cloud stacks that you're talking about. Like we have Mega Cloud Stacker as well. So we just, you know, land base the hell out of them.
Yeah.
So it works pretty well that way. Also, you know, when you take and another key aspect of doing your GMBs and utilizing this is when you have your images and you have your videos, you know, on the GMB in the GMB. Okay. So think about this. Not only do you have your images, you have your posts and have your events, right? Well, it's a GMB. It's a Google property. You don't have to walk on eggshells when you're trying to backlink your posts, right? Or backlink your events, which is relevancy to the area that you want to, like, you know, Randy was saying, you go out 5 miles and you go to Google and, you know, you type in events in city, and then you get all those links for the events in those cities, then you bring all those back into POI, because if you know where the destination is, or you bring all those into Backlink Factory and you backlink all those event links in your GMB, right? So that allows you to give a little bit more than that pressure washer effect. You could actually spread out more links to that because it is a GMB property, right? So you don't have to be all that safe. You still have to be safe. All right. How important, Bradley, do we know, or do we think Google reviews are right now?
They're more important now than I think they've ever been.
I 100% agree with you. And so would Matt for Steve. Okay.
Yep.
And so now what we're doing is we're taking, you know, we're taking the Google reviews, and now we're backlinking the Google reviews for more relevancy as well. So we're getting a double effect of the ability of that review with another Google property supporting that other Google property. And as you just said, you know, Google reviews are basically king at the moment. Right?
Yeah. 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 One of our members, he was asking a bunch of questions. Harry, he's got some case studies where all he's done is reviews for his clients and just lit up the 3-pack, like went from red to green, like just from reviews alone, which is insane. And that's just proof that reviews right now are moving the needles significantly. So
Right, exactly. So
okay. Do you
all
have
about-
can you copy the offer and put it into a notepad file or something and put that on the screen? Because we're just looking at a blank calendar right now. It would be nice if we had the URL up on the screen.
it's all in chat. Oh,
Yeah, I understand that, but that would require people to scroll to find it.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
Okay, hang on. Rod, put it back in chat real quick. I don't have it to put on the screen, Brad.
Gotcha.
So let's not add.
PowerPoint, don't you?
There you go. You see it, Brad?
Yeah. Okay. So guys, any other questions? We're almost 2 hours in, so.
Sorry about that. Wow.
No. You guys are good. Don't worry about it. I mean, this was good. And like I said, I mean, I've been putting this off for a year, Patrick, you know that. I've been waiting to actually get in and start using it. Well, now I'm at a time where I'm actually ready to, because I'm doing a bunch of local PBN stuff. And this is where I could see using sheets in the POI and factory software to push a bunch of relevance to those. Because what I'm doing is I'm creating that fire hose link that you're talking about through a local PBN site. Sometimes they're topically relevant, sometimes they're not. So I want to kind of use those as my kind of testing ground to just hammer them with the G sheets and see what happens. So I've got some testing I'm going to be doing, and I'll be kind of rubbing elbows with Brian at SEO at the Beach. I'll get him to give me a little private tutorial or something. So
Well, we can have a drink because I'm coming.
yeah, well, I don't drink anymore, but yeah, we can still hang. So
You can have Coke. You can have salty water. That's all drinking. It's just a matter of what you're drinking. That's all.
that's it.
Right. So I'll be down there. Exactly. And I know, Brian will be there and Matt will be there and a bunch of guys will be there. So, I'll be down there with you guys.
It'll be good.
All right. Any other last question? All right. Just got the lifetime. So looking forward to using it. Nigel. Cool, bud. Thank you. Appreciate it. So I guess the last question is, how many people here are going to buy something? And
Everyone.
Yeah, if you're buying something.
Everyone.
Everybody should be buying. You heard Bradley say everyone, from the man himself, everyone. You know what? I've been listening to so many of these guys doing these webinars. I'm starting to sound like
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, AMG, oh my God, no, especially
You
Barry.
could do the perfect webinar script, and then if all this did was save you, would it be worth it? If all this did was, would it be worth it? And then the value ladder stack and all that, and like,
Oh yeah.
I almost
Oh,
want
yeah.
to puke. Now, outside of the internet marketing world, I think a lot of that still works. But man, when you
Oh,
guys know, if you see that same webinar template, it makes you want to throw up.
Oh yeah, I know it's right. It's like, oh my gosh. And
I prefer to-
I do sit through some of them, and it's like, I'm playing poker on the other machine while I'm listening to them.
Yeah. I prefer just to teach, and then at the end say, okay, here's
Here it
the
is.
offer. You guys know what it does. Here's the offer.
Take it or leave it, because
That's it.
we will never ever do this again. It's seriously, that's not bullshit. But we're never going to give away POI as a bonus. And we're never going to give away stacks as a bonus. But you've waited a long enough time to get here to be special. So today,
Right on. My mom says I'm special.
that's it. So how many? Someone was asking, I think earlier, how many days we're going to run this? Are we going to run this till Friday?
If you would give us a week, we usually run them for a week. So
Okay.
can we do it for a week?
Yeah, I'll have to go change the codes on the backside, so
Okay.
it'll expire on Monday next week. Okay.
Okay, that sounds good.
So we'll be okay for that. And then what you just tell me anything else that you might need for sending out replays or more content.
And I'll ping you in Slack, Patrick, because the Skype group that I just signed up was the G Sites triple play testing group that you sent me the link to. So I need to get the other Skype group links from you as well. So I'll ping you in Slack about all that.
Okay. All right, cool.
And guys, one last thing I just want to add to this. When I start testing with the Backlink Factory, which I've had for over a year now, I think, and I've not really used it. I'll start testing with that in the mornings during my live streaming sessions. I know Nigel and some of you guys know what I'm talking about, but I stream on Twitch now every morning from 6:30 a.m. until almost 8.
I was watching you the other day.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
I'll start playing with that software when the time is right, probably sometime next week. I've got some stuff I'm planning this week planned out already, but probably next week I'll start playing with that software in the morning. So anybody that ends up picking it up and wants to see how I'm starting to use it and I'm learning and going through the motions, I'll be doing that on my Twitch channel, which is, for someone asked, it's twitch.tv/BradleyBenner. Twitch.tv/BradleyBenner. Imagine that.
I'll go one extra for you. Since you're doing that, And if you ever want to ask Randy to be on that with you as you are doing it, I'm going to tell you, he will say yes.
Hey, Randy, it's 6:30 a.m. Eastern. How early is that for
Ooh.
you?
Woo-hoo.
How
He's all
early
right.
is that for you?
Oh, when you're 74. Well, I'm in Michigan, so I'm on Eastern time.
You're on Eastern in Michigan?
Yeah.
He's
I
on the
didn't know
east
that. I
side.
thought that was at least Central. It's Eastern time, huh? Okay.
No,
Cool.
no, across the pond at Central, but we're on the east side of the pond.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So there you go. From his lips to your ears, he said he'll show up.
Hey, man, I'm there every day, Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. So anytime you want to join, just ping me and get my, send me an email and I'll bring you in.
I'm still 3 hours to my first cup of coffee.
Oh, God. All right, guys, we've been here too long. So
Thanks everybody for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick and crew. We will follow up with you guys in a couple of days. Looking forward to seeing some of you in 3 weeks down at the beach.
yep, I'll be down there.
So appreciate everybody. Thanks, guys.
See you, buddy.
Thanks.